If you look around the neighborhood, and if you look around Southeast, I think something very exciting is going on in this community. We are here at City College with the understanding that our primary role at City College is to make sure that the people of the communities actually have the best possible educational services that can be provided to them. And to that end, we have been going through a process of bringing lots of more services and programs to the Southeast campus. Now, in fact, we have 11 different campuses throughout the city. We serve more than 105,000 students across those 11 campuses. We are aware, and you should be vitally aware, that the City College of San Francisco is in partnership with all of the community colleges across the nation in a quest to provide recovery, training, educational, and services to our students so that when the recession goes back to where it should be, which is not where it is now, that we have people that can go out into the workforce and immediately be ready for jobs and to help this great country. So one of the things that we're really focused on in community college is getting the word out that the community college is where the action really is, and City College of San Francisco is a major player in that regard. And this is one of the reasons why that we're so thrilled to be in association with Single Stop USA. When I first met and talked to Daniel Leary about this program, I knew that this would be one of the great initiatives for us because it gets to the heart, the root of the problem that so many students in our college face. Most of our students are from very, very low income situations. Many of them are single parents. Almost all of them work. And unfortunately, they do not have, in many cases, the training, the education to build the kind of financial competence that we think is so critical for survival in this country. And Single Stop has focused upon that particular thing. It says, if we can provide the right kind of education, the right kind of services to our student population, they can access resources, many times as much as $65 billion per year, just in terms of tax credits and other things that they could be getting from the government that has just kind of gone by the wayside. This $65 billion in the hands of our students is transformative. It allows them to be truly competitive in the educational environment. And so that's why we're very, very thrilled that we have this initiative and partnership with Single Stop. It is a tremendous program. It's been wonderful for our students, and we're hoping that not only at Southeast, but we'll be able to have Single Stops at all of our major campuses in the city. Let me just stop there because I'd like to introduce the CEO of Single Stop, Elizabeth Mason. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Chancellor. So I'm going to start by telling you two little secrets. One is that when we called the Chancellor and we talked about doing a system-wide initiative with Single Stop and the City College, we didn't get push-off, which is actually pretty unusual. We didn't get the call me next week or it sounds really interesting, we'll have our staff look into it. He said, let's make it happen. And it's that sort of commitment and passion for the students and for the needs of the Bay Area that make us so excited to be here. I'll tell you another secret. Our mayor, Newsom, admitted to a frustration over there in the corner just recently. He said, how is it possible? I've been pushing for this for years. How is it possible that there are billions of dollars of resources that could help low-income families and actually help students be successful, and that it's going fallow? So, no more. We're going to move forward today, and we're really excited about our partnership with the mayor, with the chancellor, with Tipping Point, and all of our other partners here in the Bay Area. So, what is Single Stop? We've been called lots of things. The GPS navigation system for anti-poverty programs in America, the best local economic stimulus plan, the Google IPO event of the nonprofit world. But plainly put, Single Stop is a simple idea that solves big problems. A national non-for-profit, Single Stop reduces poverty by helping people, individuals and families, access those billions of dollars that we're all been talking about. Using the technology that you just saw over there in the corner, 15 minutes, gives you a readout on 28 benefits that a family may be eligible for, mostly working families, childcare, tax credits, food stamps. All these things that can help them stabilize their families and stay in school, guides them through the application process, and then links them into the on-site financial and legal counseling and tax work that you also saw evidenced over in the corner. So what does this have to do with community colleges? In a word, everything. Community colleges make a college education, which is the pathway out of poverty. It's the pathway. Accessible for low-income, high-need students, period. Yet due to financial and life barriers that the Chancellor referenced, nearly half of students drop out. That is unacceptable. Single Stop can change it. By integrating our successful model into community colleges, we seek to harness two of the most powerful anti-poverty fighting weapons in our national arsenal: the community college system and the frayed safety net that can be coordinated again across America. Everyone knows that we have programs that can help people in need. What most people don't realize is how underutilized they are. Only 7%, and that's 7% of families actually access all the 4 major benefits that they're eligible for. That means there's a 93% opportunity here to fight poverty and change college education in America that nobody's going after. And you're not going to believe, well, you will believe because we've talked about it, but that at least $65 billion lies fallow every year. So we're in the greatest, probably, economic crisis since the 1930s, and we're leaving all this money, and it's mostly federal money, on the table. Not smart stuff. Last year, Single Stop served over 90,000 households nationally, and we drew down a 13-to-1 return on investment. So we clearly beat everybody else in the market last year. Over just the last 8 months in California, because we've only been in California for 8 months with the generous invitation of the mayor and the speaker and Tipping Point and others, we have generated $6.5 million for over 4,000 households. That's just here. Now that's important stuff, and I don't want to gloss over it. It's really important that families that are suffering, the children, for example, have enough food in their stomachs to go to school and do well in school. It's really important that families have access to child care. It's really important that families have access to medical care. These immediate needs are very, very critical needs, and we're really, really thrilled to be able to meet them. However, we want to do more. And by expanding our initiative into community colleges, we are poised to help people not only in the short term, but also in the long term. That's because completion of an associate's degree boosts income by 15% for men and 45% for women. 45% for women. And yet, nearly half of students don't complete their degree. Why? Because it's very difficult to make ends meet. And when you're sitting there worried about childcare or lost wages or how you're going to pay the rent or how you're going to put food on the table, it's very hard to concentrate on staying in school. Yet we know, and this is the magic, that even very small financial interventions can make a world of difference. There was a national pilot that was done that with only $300 of emergency cash given to students, they statistically significantly increased retention rates in community colleges. Now think about that in the context that our single stock sites last year, our tax sites alone, just in tax sites, we drew down nearly $1,500 cash for our students. Community colleges are the ground zero of poverty prevention, period. They are also the launching pad for our competitive future as a nation. We are convinced that with single stop sites and community colleges, we can not only improve the futures for millions of students, but for our country. It is such a simple solution, folks. It's revolutionary. Now, Obviously, we need the help of all of our great partners to be able to pull this off, to have wonderful sites like this that can help students. And with that, it is my great and deep pleasure to introduce Daniel Lurie, the CEO and founder of Tipping Point, who brought Single Stop to the Bay Area.
Thank you, Elizabeth. At Tipping Point Community, we find solutions that work and leverage the strength of public-private partnerships to put them in place at the very best poverty-fighting organizations in the Bay Area. And there's no better example of that than Single Stop. When we heard Single Stop was expanding beyond New York City, we committed to getting the right partners in place and convinced Elizabeth and her team to come to the Bay Area. Mayor Newsom was our first call. And like the Chancellor, he too said, "What do we need to do to make this happen?" Charles Schwab signed on to provide financial counseling at all Bay Area Single Stop sites. Speaker Pelosi backed us at the federal level. And the Tipping Point community of donors stepped up to provide $1.5 million worth of seed funding. Today, there are 5 sites up and running, 4 in the city, 1 in Oakland, including 2 at San Francisco Community College sites. An additional City College site will open by the end of the year, and with continued help and support, we can do so much more. The beauty of Single Stop is the money required to help students make ends meet and stay in school is there. Single Stop captures those dollars and makes it easy for students to access these benefits. We're not reinventing the wheel. This is public-private partnership at its best. Single Stop opened its first community college site right here 9 months ago. Thank you. And there has already been an impact, as Elizabeth mentioned. But behind all the numbers are the personal stories that are the true testament to the power of Single Stop. To share her story with us is City College student Shireen Banks. Come on.
Thank you, Mr. Lurie. My name is Shireen Banks. I'm 18 years old and a student at this campus. I go to school part-time like most students here. I'm thrilled to be in college because for a long time I didn't think I'd survive, much less go to college. My childhood and adolescence weren't the best. I was raped when I was 14 years old, and without the support I needed, I lashed out. I went to 6 different public schools, had 2 stays in juvenile hall, and I was a runaway. I was angry at the world. In 11th grade, I went to live with my grandmother, and things calmed down a little bit. I started working at Chalk, a nonprofit organization that does youth outreach. They helped me a great deal, and I learned that despite all my past behavior, I was a people person. I liked helping people, and I seemed to be good at it. With the renewed confidence and the encouragement of my sister, I enrolled in college. When I turned 18, the financial realities of being an adult hit me hard. I was expected to contribute to the household, and I no longer had health insurance. I couldn't work part-time and support myself. I was devastated because I knew that I probably wouldn't be able to go to school. I was on the verge of dropping out when I wandered past the Single Stop office and saw the flyers. I'm a proud person, so it took a lot for me to knock on the door. Temple, the Single Stop coordinator, took all my information and put it through their program. The first thing she told me was that I was eligible for more than $1,300 a year in food stamps. I was shocked. I didn't even think that was an option. Getting food stamps would give me a way to contribute to my household. The next thing she said was that I could get health insurance through Healthy San Francisco. That became the linchpin for keeping me in school. I no longer needed to earn thousands of dollars a year to pay for health insurance. And in January, Single Stop is going to help me with my taxes. As I said before, I'm a proud person. I don't like feeling like I have to be dependent. But Temple explained that a little help now would ensure that I didn't need a lot of help later. With a degree, my chances of succeeding in the world is far greater. It's been a long road for me to get to college. My childhood stopped at 14, and I didn't think I could amount to anything, but I persevered. And now that I'm here, I want to stay here and complete my education. Thanks to Single Stop, I can. They connected me to programs. They connected me to programs and assistance that I didn't know I was eligible for or even existed. I want to thank everyone here who has been instrumental in bringing Single Stop to community colleges. You are changing the course of people's lives, including mine. Thank you. And now it's my great honor to introduce the Mayor of San Francisco, Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you for your eloquence, and thank you for your example, and thank you for putting this in perspective, the work that is being announced here today. I was commenting, Elizabeth, to you and others back there, and Daniel, about my frustration and desire to get to this point, because we've been talking about this candidly for well over 2 years. In fact, I recall having conversations with community leaders like Toya Moses and, of course, Veronica and the team out here, Honeycutt and Linda Richardson and many others, about the need to aggregate the number of programs that exist and distill them in a way that can simplify them and make them readily accessible to people that otherwise never would understand their capacity to even enter into those programs. The context is self-evident that in a declining framework where resources are limited, you have to look at scaling your existing resources, and you have to look at building capacity and building bridges and creating partnerships. Not just public-private partnerships, but public-public partnerships. Connecting different agencies from the federal government, the state government, and local government together. Connecting local government agencies together. Nonprofit, funded, and for-profit. Connecting the same in the state and the federal government. Now, we were talking about a benefits calculator to do this, and we were about to spend all kinds of money through the good work Dwayne Jones is doing, through Communities of Opportunity. And then Daniel knocked on my door, Daniel Lurie. And he told me about his desire to help out. His wife, then friend, was working, this is before they were married, in my office, Becca Prada. And Becca knew of my desire to do this and said, you know, Daniel is bringing out this new idea, not specific to Single Stop, but this new philanthropic effort to sort of model what Robin Hood Foundation had done in New York City called Tipping Point. And one of the principal things he wants to do is poverty alleviation. And this is exactly the kind of program that they want to support and sponsor. So give it a little bit of time, be a little patient as we try to convince folks that we're doing some of this work in New York to come out to the West Coast. So patient we were, nonetheless eager, and we are finally here announcing the good work that is already underway. The reason this is a big deal is self-evident, isn't it? I mean, this is truly, we talk about no-brainers. This is a no-brainer. $65 billion of federal money that's not being drawn down. In California, that translates to $3 billion of federal money that's not coming into the state. And in San Francisco, it translates even further down to $300 million a year. Of that federal dollars that's already appropriated, already set aside, you don't need to raise a tax to pay for it or borrow any money to pay for it. It already exists, that we're not drawing down. When we started something called the local earned income tax credit, the first of its kind in the United States of America, its purpose was to leverage the federal earned income tax credit because we knew we were leaving tens of millions of dollars behind with the federal EITC. But that was just one of now 28 specific programs that are incorporated into single stops model. We did something similar to food stamps by getting them online and making the benefits much easier to access. But again, that's just 2 of the 28 things that single stop does. The point I guess I'm saying is they put this whole thing together in a way that we could never have done, and we're the beneficiary of their vision, Elizabeth, yours and your team. And so I'm very grateful that we're here. I'm very grateful for your example. I'm grateful to our good Chancellor and his willingness to support this effort. This is absolutely right. Elizabeth's right, that this is where we should be taking advantage of building these kinds of partnerships, because your students, and again, it's not just young folks, it's students all time of life. I mean, it could be 50, 60, 70, or 80-year-old students that are also eligible for programs that can take advantage of those opportunities through this remarkable network of community colleges that exist not only in the city but across the state at the 109 community colleges that exist throughout the state of California. So this is just the beginning. I really think this is a big idea. I really think this is important. I think it is staggering what people leave on the table they are absolutely unaware of. This is not a small amount of money. I just was Danielle, 22 years old. She just increased her take home by 57%. And there are a couple things that are missing here that I know for a fact that she could have been made eligible for that are not in here. But she found out, as you found out about our universal health care program, you may not have ever figured out how to access that, or the fact that you were even eligible for that. Not just the food stamps, but all these others, the free checking and free savings accounts in partnership with people like Schwab, but also all these other credit unions and banks. All of these programs, the match savings you can get through individual development accounts, and the good work that SF Earn and others do to help support those efforts, to focus on assets, moving people out of a check cashing mentality to a banking mentality, et cetera. So I'm very excited. This is long overdue. This is a big deal. This is one of, I think, the most important anti-poverty efforts that exist now in the nation, and we should be scaling this all over the country. So thank you all very much for being out here, and again, thank you to Single Stops for your leadership. Thank you.